What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this, I want to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY in the overall markets. I'm also going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward and talk about other factors out there. But just note that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15 in total, not to mention 8.1% APY on invested cash. So offerings in just about 10 days from now, so check it out before they run out. Anyways, for Tesla, I just want to mention that we're holding up very nicely so far compared to the markets. The broader markets are dipping just a little bit during the pre-market session. So the question is, will we see a dip from where we are? Are we about to get a big bounce? I'll give you guys my insights in just a couple of minutes. But just know that yesterday was a very, very nice day. Tesla and Nvidia led the way up from the best days of 2024. And the question is, will the momentum help us continue this push? So I'll be watching some key levels for confirmation. For today, it's Friday, September 20th, 2024. There's not really much data coming out today. We just have Harker giving a speech, but it's all very, very minor. And then I also want to note to everyone that we do have something very important. However, today is quadruple witching. So that means we have over 1.1 million calls expiring for SPY, and we have over 3.28 million of these puts expiring. So that's about a 2.87 put to call ratio. The majority positions are in puts. So the market makers are going to cause some volatility, in my opinion. And we'll see what they end up doing. Who are they going to favor? Are they going to favor the call holders or the puts? Or could they try to fake out both sides? That's something that I'm starting to suspect. There could be like a fake dump that comes followed by a big rally back up, or there could be a rally followed by a dump hurting both sides. I think that's a strong possibility looking at some volatility. As far as the news goes, I'm seeing some headlines coming out about Tesla's price targets, some predictions about it. Many analysts are saying that the technicals look very strong, and there's a good chance that it continues to remain bullish, at least as time goes on. They also mentioned that there's a lot of catalysts coming out, so I can't wait to see how things end up continuing from here. But there's going to be likely continued upward movement according to these analysts' predictions. There's also some talk by Elon Musk. I'm seeing a lot of headlines about this. Musk tweeted that the Tesla team is to provide help to Shanghai as it faces one of the strongest typhoons in about 75 years. That's what Musk said right over here. He sent the best wishes to everyone there, and he asked their team to help anyone in distress to the best of their ability. So I agree with that. I mean, it's very difficult when there's like hurricanes, typhoons, and natural disasters like that. So my heart goes out to everyone that's affected in Shanghai and also across the globe when it comes to any typhoons, hurricanes, or etc. And I just want to say that, I hope for the best and that everyone stays strong and hopefully people could get as much help as possible. So I just want to make a very important note about that. Musk also tweeted about this. It is very important to note. So I'm seeing lots of headlines about that. That's why I called that out. Anyways, going back to this, we are seeing once again the market holding near all-time highs. But the question is, how on earth are we going to react? I didn't see anything else too crazy on the news besides this. Once again, guys, we're still seeing the market showing high amounts of volatility after FOMC. So let's focus on what we see on the charts. Okay, so looking at Tesla, I just want to mention that when you look at the 4-hour time frame, we hit this resistance near the 244 area. If Tesla breaks this today, we're going to try to fill our gap up to 246. And then if that breaks, we're looking for a move closer to 250. But if we fail to hold above 244, I think the odds favor us retesting 240 and then 238 at the very least. Now, it could go either way, but looking at the broader market, it is looking like we are possibly going to dip a little bit. We have two gaps on both sides. It's possible we fill all these gaps in one specific day. So we'll see which way we end up going. But here's what I think is going to happen. Tesla's either going to see a nice push. If we hold above 244, we start pushing for 246, and then we'd start dipping back down to 240, maybe a little bit lower, so a pump and dump. Or we're about to see a big dump first. If we do see a dump first, guys, this could be in preparation for a big pump in the afternoon. So the market's either going to see a big pump when we open and then start dumping, or we're about to see a big dump back down to like 238 or so, maybe a little bit lower, and then a pump back up into the 240s. It's going to be one of those two most likely. I think that's what the market's preparing to do. I say that because of volatility indicators and also because of the options chain for SPY. I think we're going to see a pump and dump or a dump and pump. So watch your levels just to be safe. If Tesla loses 240, look for a little bit of a dip all the way down into like the high to mid at 230s. That's going to be our dump before it tries to get bought back up. If we manage to break past 244, look for a little bit of a pump first to 246, maybe a little bit higher before it starts dipping back down. So watch your levels for confirmation. We'll see which way it goes. My gut tells me maybe we dip first and then get the pump, but I'll see just to be safe. For SPY, we have support currently at 568. If 568 fails us, we dip to 566 to 565 to fill this gap, but then that's going to be a test of our 20 EMA. We could still bounce off that. If we manage to break and hold above the 569 area, we could be looking for a pushback up to about 571 or higher first before we get that dump. So either what SPY is going to do is we bounce here, we break past 570. If we do hold above 570, we're looking for a rally back up towards the all-time high, and then we could dump back down, or we start off with a bit of a dip. We dip and we end up losing 568. If that fails us, we're looking for that gap fill all the way down to like 565 or so, and then we try to bounce after that. Okay, so I hope that's clear. You have to watch your levels just to see. We are showing some weakness on SPY, so I presume we might actually see a little bit of a dip first. We might dip down to fill this gap, and then we might get a bounce. So we'll see if that ends up being the case, but that looks like a strong possibility. ES is kind of consolidating right here. If we end up losing 57.50, we're looking for a dip back down towards 57.40. If we end up breaking past 57.80, we're looking for a rebound. We could dip and then bounce, so we'll see which way we end up going. That's going to be very pivotal for how this develops. Nvidia is very indecisive right here. We do have this gap down here. Just note that. If we end up dipping, we don't hold above 118. I do think we could be dipping towards 115. And if 116. If 116 fails us, we might be coming down to fill that gap into the 114s before it tries to rebound. And if we break 118, we're looking for 120. This looks like it might dip a little bit, might see a little bit of a pullback to at least 116, if not the 114s, before it tries to bounce. So that looks more favorable, but we'll be watching just to be safe. Bitcoin also looks like it might dip a little bit. It's looking at the 4 hour. We need to try to hold above 64,000 to remain bullish to push to 65,000 plus. If we don't hold above 64,000, there could be a dip coming to at least 62,500. If that breaks, we're going to be dipping all the way down to 61,900 as well. So there could be a small dip coming. We'll see how things end up going. For NQ, we are basically trying to hold a 20,000 area. If we hold this, we're looking for 20,200. And if we lose this, we're going to be dipping back down towards 19,863. We're in the middle right now, kind of consolidating. So we'll see if we get a dump. If we get a big dump, guys, do not turn overly bearish. It's just going to be a dip before a bounce. If we get a huge pump to start us off, then there could be a dip coming later on. So either we pump very nicely today, and then we see a dump back down to 19,800 or below, or we get a dump today to start us off and we start seeing the 19,000s, and then we start bouncing back up to the 20,000s later on. That's what I find to be the most likely possibility. For the QQQ, we're looking at 480. If 480 does not hold, I think we come down to fill the gap, and we could be looking for 475 or so. If we manage to break past 485, we remain bullish. Either we dip down closer to filling this gap, so like 478, if not 475 could come, then we bounce off that level to start pushing back up to the highs, or we just try to break out to the highs from here, and then we see a little bit of a dip to end the day to fill the gap. It's got to be one of those two, so watch and see which way we break just for confirmation. Look at resistance at 482.5 and then 484. And if we lose 480 flat, then we turn bearish and we could be looking for a dip. So we'll see which way we go. For Aapl, we look a little bit more bullish. We're still holding it very nicely, but we have this tough resistance at 230. If 230 breaks, you look for 232. And if you end up losing 228, we look for a dip. We're in the middle right now, so we're waiting to see which way Aapl breaks. Either we dip all the way down to like 227, maybe a little bit lower, and then we bounce back up to start rallying for 232, or we just go straight up to 232 and then we reject. So watch and see which way we break. Break 230, we're bullish. Lose 228, we're bearish. We'll give that some time. For the IWM, we're kind of trading sideways. Look at 224 as our resistance. If we reject off 224, we could be coming down to fill this gap towards 221, and then we could bounce in the 220 area, or we could be pushing for 226 and then end up projecting back down to fill this gap. So it's got to be one of those two. I'm seeing some weakness here, so it might come down to fill the gap first and then it bounces. So we'll see how it goes. For Amazon, we have the same setup. If we break 191, we're bullish. If we reject here, we could be coming back down towards 188 and then bounce. So if we're bearish, you want to see it basically fail to hold 190, then we could be dipping for 188 before we try to bounce. If we're bullish, you want to break past 191 to remain bullish. We'll see which way it goes. Could be a dip coming with that gap below. Meta is still holding up nicely, but 560 is a tough resistance. If we break that, we're looking for 565. If we can't break this, look for a little bit of a dip towards 555 again, and we'll see which way it goes. For Microsoft, we're still showing some heaviness. This 440 area is very tough. If we break that, we're looking for a breakout. So once again, the high up here. If we can't hold above 440, I think we're going to be dipping back down to about 434 or so to fill this gap before it tries to bounce. And I think it's more likely it does that. So it might be a dip on Microsoft. Google's holding up nicely, but 165 is a tough resistance. If we break through that, we're looking for 166 or higher. It might outperform the market. If it rejects off 165, we're looking for this gap fill down here. As of right now, Google looks very strong, so I just want to call that out. Anyways, Tesla, it's very interesting. Tesla's trying to push right now, but just know that the 244 area is a tough resistance. Um, we'll see if Tesla gets a little bit of a dip first. It kind of looks a little bit more like it's going to dip a bit towards 240, if not 238, and then it could bounce off that later on. So don't turn overly bearish. Look for a little bit of a dip for at least half of today, and then we'll see how it goes after that. All right, so we'll see if 244 holds or not. If not, we could be dipping to 240, if not 238. With that being said, guys, I thank you all so much for listening. This is going to be my update for the pre-market. I'll see you guys again in a couple of hours for another update. Until then, have a great day and peace out.